If you started to make plans to go away for the holidays, cancel them now because Hawaii football is one win away from clinching their first bowl game appearance under head coach Timmy Chang. After what was a very fun 44-26 win over Utah State. And this was definitely a game to remember, right? I mean, shoot, Pofele Ashlock, what a stud. 3 touchdown receptions. You know why he's one of the top receivers on his team from this game. And when you play against an offense like Utah State, where it feels like you're going to have to score 30 points to win this game, you need your stars to perform. And Pofele Ashlock showed out tonight with over 100 yards receiving with 3 touchdown passes from the birthday boy himself, Micah Alejado, who threw for over 400 yards again, had 3 passing touchdowns, and even had a rushing touchdown. And again, you need your stars to show up, and Micah Alejado did that tonight. I love that he was able to get that touchdown run for him, because it was almost redemption from the last time he was at TC Ching Field here at home against Fresno State, when he had a really rough game. But, against a similar look where he threw the pick 6 against Fresno State, where you had 6 defensive players on the line. They were trying to mug the A-gap. Micah Alejado had an answer for that coverage, that defense, and he saw that there was man coverage, and he's able to take it to the end zone himself, and he had himself a day. Now, this wasn't a perfect win. There were some special teams miscues early on, but at the end of the day, Hawaii football is 5-2. A far cry from where there was around this time of the year last year. I believe they were 2-5. So kudos goes all around, from the top down, from Coach Timmy Chang. This is the game where you are happy that you have someone from Hawaii that is leading this program, because this was fun, right? Offense looked great. Nice to see them continue that momentum from the Air Force game. They didn't score to start the game, but it was almost a feeling out process, right? For the offense needed to kind of jab a little bit before they did their plays. But I love the play calling. I love the routes. I love the concepts that we use to get these touchdowns. For one, that first touchdown by Pofele Ashlock, there's a lot of debate among the fans about the receiver rotation and should we be playing that many receivers. But that first touchdown to Pofele Ashlock came after they had the twos in, right? They had the backup, they had the running back, and they had 4 receivers in there. They do a complete line change where you had 4 new receivers and a running back, and they score with that Pofele Ashlock touchdown to the corner after Micah Alejado rolled to his left and found Pofele in one-on-one coverage, man coverage for that touchdown. Also want to give a shout out to Jackson Harris. He had a quiet 117 yards. Quiet 117. How's that quiet? Well, I mean, when you have Pofele Ashlock that catches 3 touchdown passes, that's kind of the start of the show. But Harris, the Stanford receiver, again, he is that true X receiver that this team was missing last year. And he really opened things up for Pofele Ashlock, and they showed great chemistry on that left side of the formation, where Pofele's in the left slot and Harris is that left outside receiver at the X. That third touchdown pass that Pofele caught in another corner route, right, where they ran what is called a scissors concept, where the outside receiver is running a post, and then the inside slot receiver is running a corner. That causes confusion down the field with the DBs, and that's how Pofele gets his 3rd touchdown of the day. So much credit again to the offensive play callers, Coach Chang, Coach Arsenal, Coach Ursua, all those guys on that side of the ball. Defense was also phenomenal. They held Utah State scoreless for the final 29 minutes of this game, and that's impressive to see, because Hawaii pretty much closed this game out on a 20-0 run to win this game by 18 points. And that's what you want from Hawaii when you are the home team, is that you put teams away, and they put away a really good Utah State team, right? And it remains to be seen what Utah State's final record is, but I do also believe that this is Timmy Chang's first win against a Mountain West opponent that had a winning record. I think when they beat Fresno last year, they had a winning record, but Fresno finished the season 6-6 before losing their bowl game 6-7. Utah State right now is 3-3. So right now they're not a winning team, but it's still great to see Timmy Chang go out here and get this win against Bronco Mendenhall. I had a feeling Utah State and Bronco Mendenhall had this game circled because we ended Bronco Mendenhall's postseason bid last year against New Mexico in Micah Alejado's first career start with against Devin Dampier, who's now at Utah. So they definitely came to play. But Hawaii, they withstood the challenge. Defense, again, phenomenal. I believe 3 defensive tackles got a sack on the quarterback. You had Dejon Benton, good to see him back again. But you also had guys like Carson Stoklonsky, a transfer defensive lineman, as well as Aiden McCumber, who is a little bit buried now on that depth chart. But it goes to show you what a great job this team did in recruiting. Definitely much kudos to Coach Jeff Reinbold for getting his room ready, because they look phenomenal in stopping Utah State. And definitely I felt like the defense rose to the occasion on one of the first drives of the game when Utah State pretty much had first and goal like inside the 5 or close to there. And the defense stood tall, right? I think they tried to run the ball up the middle. They got stopped. And then, they tried passing. Tariq Jones goes in there and gets some pressure on the quarterback. And they had to settle for a field goal to make it 3-3. So, defense was rock solid in this game, and especially when you consider that Jackie Johnson got ejected. You had your team sack leader have to miss part of this game, and then you're also without Kyle Kana. They rose to the challenge, and we are again, we are much blessed to have Coach Dennis Thurman at defensive coordinator, Coach Reinbold coming back. He was coaching on this squad in the early 2000s. Good to have him back, as well as some of the young guys, right? You have Coach Jordan Poole Robinson at defensive ends. You have Coach Nick Locker at safeties. You have Coach PJ Manaya at cornerback. And then you also can't forget, Coach Chris Brown with the linebackers. And, the linebackers had themselves a day. Not only did, Jemiah Otis get an interception, and then I think Jalen Smith also recovered a fumble, but you had guys like Giovanni Iovino make plays. I think Wyndon Julio also got in there and made a few tackles. So defense did their job. I mean, yes, it would have been nice to hold them to 0 points, but there was some short fields that Utah State took advantage of, where Hawaii made some mistakes. And, we don't need to touch about those mistakes, where you had that semi-fake punt that may or may not have been the design. It didn't look like it was designed. Seems like it was just kind of a read by Billy Gowers there. But the good thing about this team and this squad in Timmy Chang's 4th year is that they are a resilient group. They responded to the challenge, right? Hawaii, we had a 3-0 lead and then a 10-3 lead, but then we gave up 14 straight points to go down 7-10. What does Hawaii do? They go down the field, they get a touchdown to make it 17-17. Hawaii holds Utah State to just a field goal on the next possession. What do? We go drive the length of the field and score a touchdown before halftime to go up 24-20 at the break. And after halftime, Utah State gets a touchdown in the first minute of the play. But that was all she wrote, right? Because Utah State did not score any more points in the final 29 minutes of the game. So much phenomenal, great job for this program. But yeah, not much to say, because Hawaii's 5-2, and they look damn good about that in this game against Utah State, right? They got Nick Seneca back at slot back, who we haven't seen since that Arizona game. And, he's definitely, when you have a veteran receiver, a veteran leader, someone that knows this offense, you're going to have the result that you get, right? Where Micah Alejado throws for over 400 yards. I think we got over 500 yards of total offense. So, with Pofele, Nick, Seneca, and as well as like the newcomers in Brandon White and Jackson Harris, who was probably the steals of the transfer portal. I believe Micah Alejado himself said that. This is the Hawaii offense that we wanted to see, and this is the Hawaii offense that makes the ending of the college football day great, where it's just poetry in motion. Hawaii is finally clicking on offense after having some lackluster games against Portland State and Fresno State. I love that we can keep the momentum after the Air Force game during a bye week, right? Because sometimes during this bye weeks, you could, feel good about yourself and not put in the work. But this team continues to put in the work. And this shows that this team has grown. This team has grown tremendously, not only on the field, but off the field. To end this video, clear your holiday schedule. Make plans to see the University of Hawai'i in the Sheraton Hawaii Bowl on December 24th. If you had plans to go to the continent or go overseas, maybe save those money in the event that Hawaii makes the Mountain West Championship game and you want to go see them there. Because I think this team can get to the championship game for the Mountain West Conference. It's wide open, with Fresno State losing to Colorado State, Hawaii's next opponent. Air Force almost beating UNLV on the road, who Hawaii will have to play towards the end of the season. This conference is wide open for the taking. And, it's great that this team is one win away from clinching a bowl berth or one win away from clinching a bowl bid. But they need to set their marks higher. And let's see if they can keep this going against Colorado State, because the Mountain West is there for the taking, and if they can keep stacking on these wins, we might just need to dip into the savings fund a little bit to go support this team in that potential Mountain West Championship game. So yeah, be ready to support this team in the Sheraton Hawaii Bowl, and potentially start looking at that weekend after Thanksgiving, because if this team keeps winning, we will see Hawaii in the Mountain West Championship.